Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, and we are so glad that you are here with us this morning. Everyone is so spread out. I'd love for you to come in a little bit. Come in a little bit. Come together. This is a community. Welcome to those of you who have invited us into your homes through the technology of live streaming. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And I do know that we have at least one new visitor. Is there anyone else who is here for the very first time? Huh. For the very first time this Sunday, maybe. So welcome. Her name is Ann, everyone. And my name is Reverend Dusty Ripplemeyer, and I am the spiritual director of this amazing community. We are a Science of Mind community, which means that we follow the teachings of Ernest Holmes. We believe that there is one God, and that God is within us and surrounding us, that it is benevolent and loving and everywhere present at all times. And we believe that there is a creative process that we can tap into through our connection with the divine that allows us to create the experiences of our lives and to be able to do so consciously so that we can change our thinking and change our lives. So we're very glad that you are here with us today. Thank you.
The reading for today is by Albert Camus. He writes, "In the midst of hate, I found there was within me an invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found there was within me an invincible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized through it all that in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. And that makes me happy. For it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, there was within me something stronger, something better, pushing right back." So,
Welcome to those of you who may have just arrived in the sanctuary. The theme for the month of February is Self-Awareness is Not Enough. And my talk title today is Religion and Spirituality. So last Sunday I talked about self-awareness. And I said that the definition of self-awareness is the capacity for introspection. That without living knowledge of who we are, there is no hope for any conscious positive change. I said that self-awareness is the ultimate enabler. That because of this, through this process of self-awareness, we are able to take a good look at ourselves and our lives and to know what is working and what isn't working. This self-awareness plants the seeds of change in our subconscious minds. It plants within us the drive and the motivation to change, to choose to change things in our lives. Now, this sounds like a really good thing, yes? So how can the theme of the month of February be self-awareness is not enough? What can that mean? How can that be? So as I thought about this monthly theme, through the lens of the experiences of my life, I recognized that I had been living my life trying to be perfect for everyone, trying to be what everyone wanted or needed me to be. That in a moment of crisis, that I recognized that I had given away my power and that I didn't really know who I was or what I really needed. Now, in that moment, I decided to do whatever I needed to do in order to become more self-aware. And become more self-aware I did. I began to read all kinds of books and listen to lectures. I completed the Landmark Forum and the advanced classes that were touted to bring about really positive and lasting shifts within the lives of everyone who attended them. I also attended the basic and the advanced PSI courses, which at their very core are designed to challenge ourselves, to explore, to question who we are and how we are living our lives. I became more aware of my personal needs. I became more aware of my desires. I became more aware of what motivates me. I slowly began to unravel this long-standing belief I had that I had to be perfect. I questioned my old patterns and began to let go of those that were no longer working for me, and I felt more power and more freedom than I had felt in a very long time. And yet, I realized there was still this big, deep hole in the center of my being. Something was still seeking to be expressed. And so it was that hole that I thought about as I contemplated the theme for the month of February, that self-awareness is not enough, and it made sense to me. That even as I became more and more self-aware, that hole remained. I also thought about the fact that self-awareness is also described as the ability to recognize oneself as an individual, separate from the environment and separate from other individuals. Now, I think that recognizing myself as an individual is an important thing, but for me, that is no longer enough. What did fill that hole was an awareness of the power and presence of God. What did fill that hole was an awareness that I am not separate from my environment or separate from other individuals, but that I am in fact deeply connected to everything and everyone in ways that can never be separated, that can never be broken. Now, whether I want to call that religion or I want to call that spirituality, what did fill that hole was an awareness, as Albert Camus said in the reading today, that there is something within me that is greater, something better that is pushing right back. Something that is always present, that is always available. Now, isn't that what religion is? Isn't that what spirituality is? And does it really matter what we call it? The bottom line is that both have a belief in a higher power of some kind, and that this power and presence is higher, greater, more expansive than we are. Now, religion believes in God or Allah or the Brahman or the Tao, to name just a few. Spirituality also believes in this God, but it may also conceive of it as a universal energy or as nature or as love. Now, although the nature of the relationships is different when you're looking at spirituality versus religion, both have a desire to have a relationship with that higher power. Both religion and spirituality have rituals, and they have practices which deepen one's religiosity or one's spirituality. Now, that could look like meditation, or it could look like yoga, or it could look like communion, or particular prayer practices, or simply just going and showing up at church. Now, as I was preparing for this talk, I found this rather interesting article that had a conversation around which came first, religion or spirituality. Now, on one hand, in terms of our experience with religious books, then religion came first. For centuries and centuries and centuries, people have been professing religion. It has only been over the last few years that more and more people are talking about and writing about spirituality. It has only been over some recent years that people are checking off this box. So, in this vein, you could even say that spirituality is an offshoot of religion. Similar, but yet different. Now, on the other hand, in the terms of the object of our understanding, then spirituality came first. Spirit was here long before there were any religions. Spirit was here long before there was anyone to worship it. Answering this question is a little like answering the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And again, I ask, does it really matter? Now, religion is an almost universal institution in human societies. It is found in all societies, both past and present. Religion is concerned with the shared beliefs and practices of human beings. It is the human response to those elements in life which are beyond our ordinary comprehension. It is the social institution that deals with sacred things, things that are beyond our control. To be religious means being faithful, means faithful devotion to an acknowledged ultimate reality or deity. It can also mean devoted to religious beliefs or observances. Now, a common characteristic found in all religions is that they represent a complex of emotional feelings and attitudes about the mysteries of life. The term religion comes from the Latin word religio, which means a respect for that which is sacred. Now, while it's possible to define religion as a belief in God or some higher power or some supernatural power, we also have to remember that there can be religions that are godless religions, such as Buddhism. Wikipedia, the all-knowledgeable Wikipedia, says that there is no scholarly consensus over what precisely constitutes a religion. It may be defined as a cultural system of designated behaviors and practices, worldviews, text, sanctified places, prophecies, ethics, and organizations that relate humanity to the supernatural, transcendental, or spiritual. The development of religion has taken many different forms in different cultures. Some religions emphasize belief, while others emphasize practice. Some religions focus on the subjective experience of the religious individual, while others emphasize more the activities of the religious communities altogether. Some religions claim to be universal. They believe their laws and cosmology to be binding for everyone, while other religions are intended to be practiced only by a closely defined smaller group of people. Religious practices can include rituals, sermons, commemorations, festivals, feasts, prayer, initiations, meditation, music, art, dance, public service, and other aspects of human culture. Religions have sacred narratives and histories that can be preserved in sacred scriptures or in symbols or in holy places which aim to give a meaning to life. Now, here at the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, we honor all faith traditions. We do so in our hearts, and we do so through the ritual that you just saw. Now, while some of us did not grow up within any particular faith tradition, there are many of us that grew up with really strong religious backgrounds, and we still may feel connected to them at some level. Some of us have arrived here with an experience of the divine that is joy-filled, while others may struggle or question the faith traditions that they grew up within, and those questions and those struggles have very little to do with joy. Some of those questions and some of those struggles are why some of us are here at this center in the first place. Ernest Holmes says, "I believe in every religion that exists, for it is an avenue through which people worship God. Every man's religion is good for him, though it may seem inadequate to others. Religion has ever been an answer to the cry of the soul for something that is real, something which may be relied upon, a resting place for which every person instinctively feels a need." That was my whole. Spirituality, on the other hand, is a broad concept with room for many different perspectives. Get 1,000 people in one room and ask each of them what spirituality means to them, and you just may get 1,000 different answers. In general, spirituality includes a sense of a connection to something bigger than ourselves. It realigns our sense of self to be in alignment with something that many of us did not even know, myself included, was even within us to begin with. We didn't even know. Spirituality says that if we think that we are small and limited, it isn't the truth, that we are bigger and greater and more powerful than we could ever even imagine. We may think that we are limited to just our physical bodies or to the bodies of our affairs, but then that's when spirituality comes in and says, there is so much more. You are so much more. There is so much more to life. The light of the divine resides within us. The Christ consciousness is at our very core, and it's not just in a few of us, but it's in each and every single one of us. Spirituality contains a belief that says that we are all one with Spirit. And because we are all one with Spirit, then we all have to be one with each other. It really can be no other way. Now, spirituality includes looking beyond outer appearances to the deeper significance and the soul of everything. Spirituality includes being able to look beyond those outer appearances and to see that there is a reality beyond the one that we witness with our senses. A reality that is truly the very presence of joy, peace, love, and wisdom. Spirituality typically involves a search for meaning in life. And as such, it's really a human experience, something that will touch us all at some point in time or another. Spirituality has a main foundational idea that we are to look within. And when we look within, we will see that which we have been searching for, that it has always been within us. The external world is ephemeral, temporary, and always changing. Our inner realm, on the other hand, is eternal. It is timeless, and it is deeply profound. Some may really experience their spiritual life by visiting a church or a temple or a synagogue or a mosque. They may feel intricately linked to those spaces. Other people may pray or find comfort in a very personal, very private relationship with God. It can be more quiet and more alone, that you would do that individually. We can experience being spiritual when we listen to a beautiful piece of music, or we're looking at an amazing work of art, or we're reading an inspirational book or a poem. We experience spiritual moments when we're walking in nature and we're feeling deeply connected to it. We experience a spiritual connection with others when we are working together on a common goal, or when we are gathered together and are spending quiet time in contemplative meditation with each other. When we are in tune with God, or in tune with nature, or in tune with others, or in tune with ourselves, we are being spiritual. Like your sense of purpose, your personal definition of spirituality may change over the years, that it may adapt to your experiences or to your relationships. At its very core, spirituality is embodying the essence of God. Embodying the essence of God. And through our spiritual practices, such as meditation, contemplation, journaling, visioning, service, and prayer, we allow that spirit to flow in us and through us. Religion is a path to God. Spirituality is a path to God. There are many differences and there are many similarities between them. As I was preparing for this talk, I found a number of different articles that spoke to this. Most of them started with the fact that over the recent years, people are now beginning to say, I am spiritual, but I'm not religious. Right? They say it like that, right? Like it's terrible to be religious. And so when you're looking at these articles, and all of them are talking about the differences between it, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So each of the articles that I read included quite a number of them, but I'm going to just touch upon a few of them today. The first is that there are no rules to spirituality. As opposed to following a specific set of rules, spirituality invites us to follow our heart. It invites us to listen to our own intuition, and it invites us to do what is right for ourselves. Number two, spirituality is based on love and not fear. In many religions, there exists a lot of fear. Fear of the consequences of our actions. Consequences that are doled out by a very capricious and judgmental God. Fear of what will happen to us when we die if we have not been living our lives rightly. Whatever that means. Spirituality encourages us to focus our attention on the good and to really base all of our actions on love. What would love do now? Number three, religion tells us the truth, and spirituality lets us discover it. Religion often tells us what to believe and what is right. Spirituality lets us discover the truth by ourselves. In fact, encourages us to experience it for ourselves and to understand it in our own way. Number four, religion separates while spirituality unites. Throughout the world, there are many, I think, 10,000 different religions are actually listed. So there are many different religions, and they all preach that their story is the right story. Now, spirituality sees the truth in all of them and unites them because spirituality knows that the truth is always the truth, no matter what our differences are, no matter what our uniquenesses are. This truth is always the truth. Spirituality reminds us that we are not separate, that there are no boundaries, no races, and no divisions. Number 5, experience versus belief. Religion usually entails adhering to certain dogma or belief systems. Spirituality places very little importance on intellectual beliefs, but is concerned with growing into and experiencing the divine for ourselves. Number 6, where is God? Often religion talks about a God that is outside of ourselves. Spirituality shows us that God is omniscient and omnipresent and can actually be felt as a very living and loving feeling within our hearts. As you can see, most of these distinctions really tout the benefits of spirituality over the benefits of religion. But for me, I also think that religion is great. I think that it is of great value and of great benefit to people. And I think that the greatest benefit of it is the community aspect of it. Here at the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, I believe that we are a beautiful combination of both religion and spirituality. When Ernest Holmes created the science of mind, he never set out for it to be a religion. He really thought of it more as a philosophy or a practical way of life. However, when we attend our services on Sunday, it looks pretty much like church. Sounds pretty much like church, even sometimes smells pretty much like church. And our teaching is focused on the shared beliefs and practices of human beings, right? Our services bring together like-minded people to worship God. And for me, that is a really good thing. Because there is nothing like community to deepen our practices, nothing like community to demonstrate the power of love itself, nothing like community to be able to provide assistance and support to each other as we walk our path. On the other hand, we believe in an indwelling God. A God that is personal to each of us. We proclaim that God is all that there is, that love is all that there is, and we are one with it. We recognize that presence in everything and everyone. We honor and celebrate all paths to God. We place great importance on experience, embodying what we're talking about. So we place great importance on experience, and we provide many different opportunities to practice the presence and to really develop our own relationship with the divine through meditation, contemplation, journaling, service, prayer, visioning. So however we describe our path, whether we describe it as a religious path or a spiritual path, for me the important thing is that we recognize that self-awareness with a little s is not enough. So the invitation is to dive deeply into an awareness of self, self-awareness with a capital S. And I promise you that if we were to do this, we will be forever changed. and our lives, both individually and collectively, will simply work. And so it is. So I invite us to turn within. How grateful to be able to have this moment. This moment to turn within, to turn my attention to the interior realm, to close my eyes to the world of form, to recognize that within me there is an invincible smile, an invincible love, an invincible summer. A power and presence that is always available. A power and presence that is eternal. A power and presence that is benevolent. I call this power and presence God, but it goes by many different names. I know that it is who and what I am at my very core. And just as I know that this is my truth, I know that it is true for each and every person here. That each of us is a unique and divine expression of the divine, an ambassador of its presence on the planet. And it is from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us today. Claiming for each of us ease and grace around living our lives from this place of self-awareness with a capital S. Truly knowing who we are, our personalities, our likes, our dislikes, our motivations, our needs, our desires, and yet seeing beyond that to a greater reality, to a self with a capital S, that presence of God that is within us, the very essence of love and peace, joy, creativity, abundance, and grace. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that as we say yes to living our lives from that place, that they are forever changed. That we grow in the depth of our awareness of who we are, that we deny any thinking of ourselves as little, or that we are only our bodies, or our bodies are our affairs, but that we know, really truly know who we are, and that we powerfully bring that forward into our lives, changing not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us, for we truly are powerful. We truly are the presence of love itself. And I'm so grateful to know this truth and to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that they are made whole, perfect, and complete even as they are spoken. And so I speak them with love and gratitude, releasing them into that law, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor this prayer for ourselves and for each other, simply by saying, "And so it is." Amen.